Hello YouTube, back once again with my film reviews, and the other night I saw the indie comedy Don't Think Twice. The plot of this movie, it's about a improv troupe in New York, and one of them finally makes it big on SNL, or in this world it's called Weekend Live or something like that, and that causes the rest of the group to start thinking over their lives and that if it's worth to continue trying to achieve greatness by making it on SNL, or they just think maybe it's time to choose a different career in life. So that's the plot of this movie. What's the good and bad of this movie? Well, the good. Let me just say this right now: the cast in this movie is amazing. The main six cast members of the improv troupe: Jillian Jacobs, Mike Burgiglia, who also wrote and he wrote and directed this. Keegan Michael Key, Kate McCucci. Sorry, I'm trying to get these names right. Chris Gethard and Tammy Sager are all so great in this movie. They have such a legitimate chemistry with each other. They play off each other great. Like, you honestly do believe these people are a friend group. Like, they're a very, just how they do like each other while also seem to be somewhat dysfunctional at the same time, and they do just play off each other great. And when things start to get dark, when the member of the troupe that makes it onto SNL is Keegan Michael Key, and when that happens, like, and it starts being a strain on the script, like, you can't really blame them for being jackasses to one another. Like, you do believe it, because it's like, of course, like, Keegan Michael Key should be excited. Like, he's succeeded in his dream to make it onto SNL, but it also makes sense that you can't really blame the other members of the group for being, like, really sad and pissed off for the fact that, like, that's their dream also, and their friend made it and they didn't, and it makes sense. You can fully believe this. So I really the cast is amazing, especially Jillian Jacobs. She's wonderful in this movie. She just blew me away in her performance. Because she's interesting. She is the one person who does not want to make it on SNL. She just wants this group to stay the way it is. She just likes the art of improv. She just likes performing with this improv troupe. She doesn't care about, like, things changing, and you just feel so horrible for her, like, when you just see, like, everyone else, like, starting to become, like, horrible to each other and starting to say, like, I'm done with this improv troupe, and how she's the only one who wants to keep performing. It's really effective. You really feel horrible for this woman because she's the only person who does it because she loves it. It's not because of a want of success. She just does it because she loves the craft, and she's just wonderful. She completely sells that. So Jillian Jacobs was just amazing. This movie does have a really good message also, just how not everyone can make it. Just, like, for anyone who wants to be an actor or a performer, or that, honestly, the interesting thing about this movie is it doesn't even have to be about improv or performing or acting. It could literally just be about, like, any group of friends that are all trying to achieve a certain goal. Like, whether that could just honestly be, like, a bunch of friends in an office who are all trying to get a promotion, and one of them does get the promotion the rest of them want, and I do think that's the brilliance of this movie, is the fact this doesn't have to be about improv, but it is about improv. It's just, and I do really applaud the message, just the fact not everyone can make it. At the end, it's not like they change it. It's not like everyone makes it in the end. No, only Keegan Michael Key makes it. The rest of them just are forced to reanalyze their lives and just say, okay, I can't make it, but do I want to keep performing, or do I just want to do something else with my life? And I really do love the message to that movie. But let me say this, even though I have made this movie sound somewhat heavy, this movie could be really funny. Like, this is a movie about comedy improv, and it is really funny in parts. It has some of the all-time greatest stabs at SNL of all time. Like, this is one of my all-time comments I think I've ever seen someone make. There's, like, a line when they're watching SNL, and one of them's just like, now here's an interesting thought. Is it that SNL has gotten worse as we've gotten older, like the cast has gotten worse, and the writing's gotten worse, or is it the fact that it was never that good and you were just a kid, we were just kids back then, so we didn't have the best sense of quality at that time. I was just like, that is such an interesting thought, because when I was a kid I loved SNL. Now I think it's a really shitty sketch show that has some really funny people on it, but the writing's not very funny, and it does just make me think, was it just because I was a kid, like when I was younger, and I just don't like it nearly as much now because I'm older, and I can tell that it's not being funny for the most part? Very interesting thought. So, like I said, the movie could be really funny. It has great stabs at SNL, and this movie just has a fantastic cameo from Ben Stiller. It is so weird and so odd, and it just had me cracking up when he was on screen. I was just like, why is Ben Stiller in this? Was this a friend for the was this a favor for the director? I still thought it was really funny. But what's the bad of this movie? The real problem with this movie for me is it can really feel like it's going nowhere from times. It just meandering around. Because, like, Keegan-Michael Key, he makes it on SNL very early on in this movie, and from there, the movie really doesn't... There's only so much you can take of, these people just walking around and getting more and more pissed off at each other, and being more and more horrible to one another, and... It just becomes kind of just unpleasant. You're just kind of like, this is getting really dark, and that's why I think Gillian Jacobs, I'm glad that I would say she's the main member of this cast, because she's by far the most sympathetic one. They put the most focus on her, because it just becomes very unpleasant just seeing these people just being awful to one another and just cursing each other out, and it just feels like I really wish there was a bit more plot to it, more than just people being horrible to one another after one of them makes it onto SNL, because of it, it really makes it feel like this film's going nowhere. Like, they don't stop being awful to each other until the very end of the movie when things wrap up, so, that can get annoying. And the other problem with this movie is the improv scenes. There are scenes where they do shows from their improv, and, the problem with that is it isn't as funny as it could be, and the problem with this is the same problem the movie musicals have when, like, they try to adapt a musical into a movie. I know there's people who just say for movie musicals, like, why don't you just shoot it? Why do you even have to make a movie? Just shoot a recording of the stage show. That doesn't work, because this is why. Just like performers on a stage, improvers, they need the energy of an audience. Like, they need to have that energy going. It makes it funnier, or in like the case of a stage show, it makes it more entertaining, and more entertaining for the fact you have that energy flowing when you're sitting in the audience. And that's why, like, in a film, that's why in a film, when they adapt a movie musical, the big question is, like, you can tell, like, the way they're directed, it's always the question is, like, it's them trying to figure out how can we keep having artificial energy going for the fact it will be people in the audience and not people actually... It won't be people actually sitting in this audience, but people watching a film, and... They try to do it. You can tell they're really trying to figure out how to do this, but I don't feel like they quite cracked how to do it yet. Like, you can tell, like, the way what they shoot, like, they keep, like, panning across the stage, and they, like, keep, like, moving the camera to another end to try to keep that energy going, but it doesn't fully work. And consider the fact that this was like I said, Mike Birbiglia, I don't know how you say his name. Like I said, this is his directorial debut, wonderful directorial debut, by the way. This was really hard, and I feel a director down the line will figure out how to do it perfect, like, completely get it right, but he couldn't fully get it right, and I don't blame him for that. This is a very difficult task, and, but that is a problem. There's just all these improv scenes, a lot of this movie, there is a good part of this movie that's just watching this group perform improv, and because of that, you just feel like I should be laughing harder than I am right now. I'm just kind of smirking, kind of going, like that's funny. Like when you should be like the audience are just cracking up, but the problem is you're not cracking up because you don't have that energy flowing with you. So that's the main problem of this movie. But besides that, though, this is still a great movie. So in total, I'm gonna give Don't Think Twice a very solid 4 out of 5. I love this movie. I thought it was great. If it had a bit more plot to it, and a little less of people just being awful to one another, and they completely got right how to keep an artificial energy going. I would say this is fantastic. This was one of the best indie comedies I've ever seen. But as it sits, it's still great. If you enjoy performing, if you've ever thought about taking performing as your career, or strive to have performing as your career when you're older, watch this movie. It's a great one. YouTube, as always, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.